Welcome to The Fiber, brought to you by Live Oak Fiber, where we weave together the stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and changemakers who are the very fabric of their communities. Join us as we spotlight those who embody the spirit of connection, resilience, and progress. Hello, everybody. My name is Garrett O'Leary. I'm here with Live Oak Fiber, and welcome to The Fiber Podcast. Today, I am blessed to have some incredible people here from the Early Learning Coalition. Again, nailed it on the first try. So I will let them introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dana Hodges. I'm the CEO at the Early Learning Coalition.
Hi, I'm Angie Strumeyer. I am the COO at the Early Learning Coalition.
And my name is Kavina Turner. I am the Community Outreach Specialist.
It's always hard to have longer titles. But thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you guys coming in, especially on a busy Wednesday. I've already forgotten what day it was.
Yeah.
But we'll start off. Let's go into some background about your careers and how you ended up here at the Early Learning Coalition. Second time, there we go. But yeah, we'll talk about your career. So Dana, we'll kick it off with you.
Sure. I actually started in early learning when I was 18. I got pregnant in high school and had to figure out what was I going to do to take care of my child. And I was very blessed and fortunate to work for a corporate organization that took me in, and I started as a substitute. Eventually worked my way up and opened up my own faith-based preschool. Then did that and started at a Early Learning Coalition as the administrative assistant, and eventually worked my way up the ladder there and landed here as the CEO of the Emerald Coast.
Awesome.
Well, funny, I actually started very similarly. I was a very young mom, and I was also in the field. I had gotten my degree for education, but that year there were just no jobs. So I ended up working in a preschool, and I fell in love with working with early childhood. So I stayed with a local preschool for 14 years, and then after that I moved on. I wanted to do something different in the same family, so I worked for the Department of Children and Families and Child Care Licensing for 14 years. And then I was on the board at the Early Learning Coalition, and there was a position available, and I took that position. I've been there for about a year now.
Awesome.
And we love having you. So I was in retail a lot. I grew up here, so I felt like you either did hospitality or retail. So I did that, and I loved it, but I didn't find purpose in it. So I did a lot of soul searching. I'm like, what can I do that really impacts society in the future and education? And then what better way than to start at birth? So I was able to get a teaching job where I was the floater. And I remember the first time I was in a classroom and the teacher came back. I had spilt my coffee all over the things she was laminating, and the babies, like I had never changed a diaper before, and it was crazy. But I worked my way up to being a manager, my center director, and then now I was an early education specialist, and now I'm community outreach, where I can try to get people to come into this field.
And real quick, was that jump from retail into education, especially early learning, was that quite the eye-opener and really help you realize this is either what I want to do, or were you a little scared kind of jumping into that?
Yes, all of the things. I was scared, but it was so rewarding, and you learn so much about yourself as a teacher. And then I thought I knew everything as a teacher. I'm like, oh, when I have kids, da-da-da-da-da. But then once I had kids, I was all the things I said I wouldn't be. But I think working with children, especially when they're babies, and just seeing them grow is amazing. And seeing that aha moment, it just gives you so much purpose, and you're making that lasting impact.
Yeah.
And the ripples that you create when you have that good impact on them, how they're going to grow up and impact society.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. And now, Dana, I know when we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago on the phone, you had quite the incredible journey from where you started and all of a sudden becoming the CEO of the Early Learning Coalition. Can you kind of dive into that a little bit and talk about your journey from kind of finding your way into education and then to where we are now?
When I first got into this, I did not think it was going to be my MLBR career because I didn't know that it could be a career. I thought that when you started in early learning, you just started at a preschool. And to be honest, I thought it was babysitting until I actually started working in the field. And I'm like, wow, we're actually teaching children, and learning that 90% of their brain is developed by the age of 4 hit me. It really was like, we need to start younger. And how can I make an impact with children at a younger age, similar to Kavina's story as well. So the more I was able to work in the classroom, the more I realized, what can I do administratively to help within our field? So when I became the director, I found that being a leader in the field really helped retain the team members. Without a good, strong leader and that support, it's hard to keep people within the field because it is a hard field to be in. And then being in the role that I am now, I feel like I have a larger impact, specifically in our community and the populations that we serve. So I don't know if I answered your question the way that you wanted to answer the question.
It's hard.
There's a lot to think about.
But
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, to say, I didn't realize I was going to land here. I didn't realize the impact I can have within this field. And in all honesty, I didn't realize it could be a career. So I'm so grateful to be able to have been able to navigate that with some great mentors in the field. And I hope that's something that personally I can provide for those in our community that would like to be in this field.
Awesome. And then I guess before we get too far into it real quick, let's talk about the Early Learning Coalition, what it is, what services you offer, and how can people kind of get involved or what. Actually, let's just leave it at that. Yeah. How can people get involved? And I'll let any of you guys kind of take on if you guys want to talk about your pieces of what your job kind of does.
Okay. Well, for the Early Learning Coalition, we have 3 major programs. I can speak to the School Readiness Program. That is financial assistance for childcare. There is some eligibility requirements for that. You have to either be working or going to school or a combination of both. So that is one of our biggest programs, and we do have funding for that program. So our goal is to get that information out to our community to help as many families as we can receive subsidized childcare to help them in the workforce. Angie, VPK?
Yes, we have another service we provide is VPK. This is a free program for all 4-year-olds in Florida as long as they are residents and they are 4 years old by September 1st of that year. Then those children are eligible to go into a VPK program. And those programs are offered at private locations, private child cares, private centers, also public schools. There's all kinds of locations. There's kind of a misconception that they are offered only at the public school, but that's not the case. So if you're out there and you are looking for VPK for your child and you feel like there are no spots where you're looking in the public school, please look us up because we can help you find a location that is in another arena, maybe a private child care or something like that, so that you can have your child in there and be ready for kindergarten. And we are trying to reach more families to make sure that all children who are 4 are able to go into VPK so that they can be ready for kindergarten. So.
I would add to that, for VPK, there are no income eligibility requirements. So that's a benefit. That's different than school readiness.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So.
I guess
resource
that is CCR&R for me. So any family can contact us to get a free childcare listing of providers that match their needs. So it could be faith-based, Monday through Friday, whatever those boxes that they need checked, they can give that to us, and we'll provide them with the listing.
Awesome.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go for it.
I know those are our programs that we offer. However, we do a lot of other things within our organization. We support our community with attending community events and providing books for families that attend those community events to provide that service, as well as we have an education team that works with our providers and public school sites to provide coaching and mentoring to improve the quality of their program. So that's another piece that is not an actual program that you may see, but those things are happening behind the scenes, and we have a great team that does eligibility, compliance, and education and finance. It's a great team.
How many employees do you guys have at the ELC?
We have 20 employees handling
Oh, wow.
all of the projects that we do.
Is that including some of the teachers or just like admin staff?
Just so we don't actually employ teachers.
Oh, okay.
We contract with either child care centers or public school sites and family child care homes to provide the services that we offer.
Okay. I'm assuming that's how you guys know Nellie and Valerie and everything.
Yes, yeah. They are one of our contracted providers.
Yeah, they're awesome. We had them in actually just before you guys. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, they were really awesome.
Yep, they are.
So kind of moving into, because you touched on it just a little bit, how obviously education is a very challenging field to kind of be in, especially when it comes to long-term careers. Personally, I know a few teachers that got their degrees in childhood education, and then after 2, 3, 4 years of teaching, they decided to leave to go elsewhere. So is that one of the biggest challenges that maybe you guys are facing, or that you just feel like education has in general?
Okay. I'll start it, but I know we all have our opinions because this is a hot topic
This
in our
is a
office.
hot
If we were on The View right now, we'd be like, hot topic. Well, It is a little bit different than the K through 12 system because our childcare facilities and family childcare homes are considered a small business.
Okay.
So with that being said, it is really hard because some of the benefits that you can get at a public entity, typically can't offer your employees within your small business, such as medical or PTO or some of those alternative benefits. So in order to get or retain employees within your system, there's like an extra layer or variable that adds to that to be able to get them. I guess, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's not as eloquent as I normally do, but what would you add to that, Kavina?
To recruit them, absolutely. Yeah. It's hard to recruit them when you can't offer those benefits that other huge corporations can.
Yeah. And that's where your leadership's going to come into, where sometimes it really matters who is at the helm and who is supporting all of those employees that are there. I feel like that as a director, when I was a director of a program, that was my biggest, honestly, I thought it was going to be, I went from the classroom working with children to being in the office working with all the big people, right? So I had all the parents and I had the team that worked with me, and they were amazing, but I did have to have a lot of hats on because we were not able to provide all of those other benefits like health care and things like that. So it really mattered, and it isn't always going to be something that can attract people and keep them there, as retain them. But it does help when you have somebody at the helm who is going to be understanding, who's going to also expect what they need to expect out of those teachers to be able to provide for those children what's needed. Yeah. So it's kind of like a balancing act, I think. Yeah.
And I think it's a great stepping stone and even a pathway. When we talk about a pathway in early childhood, we really just talked about the pathway up to either a director or a CEO like myself in the nonprofit sector supporting early childhood education. But we also are so grateful and inclusive of our school districts. We work with Okaloosa and Walton because if we get teachers starting in early childhood and they opt to go work through the K through 12 system, that's a win for us. That's a win because then they have that early childhood foundation piece. So for us, it's the continuum of care, whether it's early childhood through the K through 12 system and on to college if they were to become a professor. But all of that to say, I think it's hard across the board for education, whether it's early childhood, whether it's 100%. The K through 12 system, whether it's even professors at a college. It's just hard to get those teachers for so many variables, the credentials that they're required to have, the paid, while we say you have to have a passion and you love it and you love children. You still need to be able to survive and live. And so we definitely understand that. And early childhood, as well as the teachers in general, are not paid what they should be paid. So when you can work in another industry where you can get paid more and provide for your family without some of the struggles that you may experience working in the field of teaching, that's what we see. We see people, they may have a passion for teaching children, and that passion sometimes gets overpowered by being able to support their families.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of cooperation between your organization, obviously, K through 12 kind of schools or I guess school districts to help develop more programs as well as find those reasons why people are, I guess maybe where my question is going is from, like you mentioned, that they might look for other employment opportunities elsewhere where they can earn a little bit more. Do you see a lot of buy-in from those other organizations that may be trying to help you guys to ensure that maybe that first stepping stone is with you guys to help get that foundation of early learning and then potentially move on in the future? Is that something you guys see a lot?
I would say probably within this past year, we are really building a strong relationship with both of our school districts. And I feel confident that moving forward, that together we're going to be able to create some of those pathways, whether it's for early learning or for the K through 12 system. I think we're all on the same page and we understand the importance of early learning. And we are working on many projects together. So yes, we're very grateful for that.
Yeah. It's a good relationship.
And then I guess to move on to some of the stuff that I usually like to talk about, especially when it comes to what I did with like Nellie and them, is that I think there's a lot of challenges that you guys face that can be helped with community support as well as just getting awareness out there. Is there anything that you guys right now that are, you're hoping to build for, you're actively building to, that you would love to let everybody know about and how they can get involved and support you guys?
Well, first and foremost, we are trying to get all of our information out there to the public for families because we do have resources to help them be able to afford childcare. And we find that some people don't really know what the Early Learning Coalition does. And so that's what we're here for today, really, also, is to put that word out there, that we are out there to help families find childcare options, find a program that they can afford, or possibly if they can apply for the school readiness, possibly be eligible to receive those services to help them get a little discount on that child care to make it easier at home. And also the VPK program. So we want to make sure that people know to come to us because we can help them at least find a location and hopefully find a location that works best for their family.
I would add to that too. When we were talking a couple weeks ago, one of the things that hit me too is that we also know that we have several providers in our area that are not contracted with us, that could be contracted with us to provide that school readiness service and or VPK service. So if there are any providers within our area, or child care centers or family child care homes that haven't been in contact with us, we've tried to contact as many as we could. Please reach out to us. Even if you don't want to contract with us, that's okay. We still want to be your partner and collaborate with you and try to help you. We want your business to succeed, whether you're contracted with us or not. Childcare is needed, and anything we can do to help bridge that gap, we're willing to do so.
To kind of expand on that a little bit, even if they don't contract with you, what does that partnership look like? Is it sharing of resources? Is it sharing of expertise? What goes into that?
All of those.
Okay.
All of those things. And if they're ever having an event and they want to be provided books to pass out at the event, or raffle items, or just us talking to their families about developmentally appropriate practices within their home, we want to be able to support our community in any way that we can. Now, you would probably get a little bit more of our services if you were contracted with us. And that ultimately is our goal, because our goal is to get as many children in care as we can, so that our families can afford to live and they can go to work and feel that their children are taken care of and safe.
What would you say is the common misconception that a lot of parents have when it comes to, I know we've touched on it already, but what do they think that is what's their hurdle that they have to get over when it comes to working with you guys or as some of these contracted partners to getting their kids into whether it's certain programs or just early education?
I think one of the biggest hurdles we do have, and it touches on something you mentioned earlier, is finding a spot. We have some areas that are more in need of spots for childcare, families who maybe they're eligible for our services for school readiness, or they have a VPK certificate, but they haven't been able to find a location that has an opening, and that goes directly back to our workforce issue, really. So we're trying our very best to continue to professionalize this industry so that we can help that kind of become this industry to be more enticing to people to come in and stay in the industry, at least for a while. Even if they do go to the school district, we do embrace that as well.
Somewhere else.
Or somewhere else, exactly. But that's our thought there is kind of, in my mind, that's one of the things that we have is our workforce issue that results in fewer spots open for children to be in.
Is there certain requirements from like the state or counties that only allow a certain number of kids per, I guess, classroom maybe?
There is a ratio.
And it's huge.
Oh.
Well, how many kids, I guess that's the next question for me, is how many kids can be in a classroom? Because, I mean, imagine if it's just a workforce issue, what's the way around that?
Lower ratios. So, yeah, you can give higher pay, but some of those extra benefits like PTO, meeting families where they're at, bosses for babies, there's that plug there.
That's us.
Because you can, allowing time off so you can be with the family and have that work-life harmony. But trying to get back to that question. Ratios. Thank you. Very important, so can't forget that. But you can have, so I was telling my husband, we have a 2-year-old, and I said, babe, I think you'd be great in early childhood education. With one, because you're a great teacher with one, but you could have 11 of him. So imagine him and 10 more by yourself. And he said, I think you can have one or the other. You can't have quality and the 11. But our early educators find a way to do this. It's the way they do this tightrope. It's a lot of magicalness that happens. But they could do so much more if the ratios were lower. So infants is 1 to 4. 1-year-olds is 1 to 6. 2-year-olds is 1 to 11. 3-year-olds is 1 to 15, and then school age is 1 to 25.
Okay. And at that point, it's just about finding the right people to kind of take care of these kids, or else it has to be those lesser ratios.
And there are some providers that do not leave a teacher by themselves, so they make sure there's 2 teachers, and then they don't go with the state ratios. That's the lowest, like threshold or something.
And that is hard to find because
You got to make money.
you have to make the money. So the provider has to keep the doors open. They need to be able to pay their team. And sometimes that doesn't allow for having a second person in the classroom. So, I think ideally everybody would love to have 2 teachers with those 11 2-year-olds, right? So,
Right.
but unfortunately that doesn't always work. So financially, so then the magicalness, I think that's a great term because that's what happens. Really, they make it work. And we have wonderful providers that do that day in and day out. Regardless, even though they are bound to those issues and they're trying to keep the doors open. So we have a little push-pull going on with things like rates for childcare. They are high, but it's because those schools need to pay their team enough to make it
Worthwhile.
a
almost.
worthwhile job to have them, right? So it's sort of like a battle. It's a constant battle, really. So
And I would add to that, even to that point, when you say worthwhile, it's like $14 an hour.
yeah.
So that's not even enough to live on when you put that into consideration, right? But I was literally about to say that's like something that we hear all the time. Well, they charge so much, but they pay their people so less, because when you look at it, and it is a business, right? It's how do you off balance that, and how do you do that? I would add to that, one of the other misconceptions are that daycares, which is a no word, we call them child cares or early child care facilities or family
caring
child
for
care
children,
homes.
not days.
So if that's our mission in life, is to make sure that everybody changes some of that terminology. But that programs are not quality programs. So just so you know, in order to contract with the Early Learning Coalition, there is a tool that's used, and it's called CLASS. And it's based on the interactions that the teacher has with the children within their classroom. It's not based on if it looks pretty or the amount of materials that they have, which are important things for some families. I'm not negating that. But it's based on the interaction that the teacher has with the child. So in order to contract with an Early Learning Coalition, you have to have a minimum score of a 4. So that's something that changed within the past few years that really excited me. I'm working in this profession for so long, because prior to that being implemented, there was no quality threshold that was unified across the state. So whether you're at the Early Learning Coalition of the Emerald Coast or you're at the Early Learning Coalition of Miami, Monroe, the same threshold is there for that quality indicator. So for families, please know that if someone is contracted with us, there is a quality indicator, and we are tracking violations, and we monitor our providers, and we have phenomenal providers here. So I would say maybe reach out to us if you have questions on what that looks like. There's actual tools from the Department of Children and Families about things to look at when you're visiting child cares, because one child care may be good for Kavina may not be what I'm looking for my child. And I may need a family child care home environment or vice versa. But we're here to provide that service, so reach out to us.
Okay. And then real quick, before we get past that, what's the best way to reach out to you guys and contact you if they have those questions?
I would probably say go to our website, www.elc-ec.org.
Good job, Dana.
A lot of letters in that one.
ELC. But that's probably the easiest way. When you go on there, there's little icons that you can click on. And then we also have a contact. We have general emails for each of our departments. We set that up purposefully. So when you email, everybody in that department gets that email, so you'll get a quicker response. Our phone system, if you call our phone system, can I put a little plug for this?
Absolutely.
If you call our phone system, the
Don't hang up.
that just slipped my mind. What's our phone number?
850-833-3627.
Nice.
0. If you do not leave a message, we don't know that you called.
With your phone number.
Yes, with your phone number and contact information. We set that up purposefully because we're really trying to drive people to doing the email so you get a quicker response. But we do get a lot of families who are like, we've been trying to call. And we're like, well, you didn't leave a message. So we don't know that you called. And we don't want any of our families to feel that pressure or feel struggled or anxious about anything. So all of that, email us at those emails, and you can find them on our website. That's probably the best and fastest and easiest way to get us.
Awesome.
But you can always come to our office.
Okay. And where, I guess in that case, where are you guys located too then?
We're in
11
Shalimar.
across from Waffle House, 1130 North Eglin Parkway, Shalimar. We're upstairs, so Healthy Starts right below us. Great partnership there. And it is Family Engagement Month, so if any little wants to come by and grab a book, they're more than welcome to.
Awesome. And I did have kind of two follow-up questions about what you guys were talking about. So obviously you had mentioned that obviously pay is a big kind of problem when it comes to teachers and finding the right kind of quality of staff as well as holding on to them. So is part of your guys' mission to help with kind of fundraising to ensure that some of the partners that you're contracted with can actually pay their employees, or is that something entirely separate from you guys?
We're not allowed to fundraise.
Oh, you're not? I thought you were. Okay, never mind.
Well, there are some fundraising parameters that we do have to follow to ensure that we're compliant with our grant with the state. We have a great board that's very supportive and great community partners that we partner with. The college is great. As I said, the school district is great. The Children's Forum, the Children's Movement, our Association of Early Learning Coalitions. So we have a lot of great partners throughout the state and locally that help us with some of those initiatives. One of the things that we do partner with the Children's Forum, and they offer the Teach Scholarship. And that's for anyone that's working at a child care facility or a family child care home where they can get pretty much all the way up to their master's paid for with very minimal cost on their end.
That's cool.
And they even get paid
Yeah, you get bonuses
During-
and stipends.
once you
doing it.
finish. Mhm.
Oh, awesome.
So there are a lot of things that warm my heart probably within the last few years that are being very supported by local legislators and just the government as a whole that I haven't seen since I've been in this industry as much as I have now. So we're very grateful for that. But the Teach Scholarship, I would say, is one of the things that we're really doing because it's funded. It's within the governor's budget. It's funded. They actually got an increase in that. So we're working with our providers to ensure that they understand that's accessible to them to hopefully offset some of that cost on this end and hopefully retain some of their team members.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought, because I know on your website it shows donate, so I figured there might be like a fundraising
can.
aspect.
People can donate, but we're. Go ahead. You say the right. You have the right vernacular.
I was gonna say, we would love for you to donate. What that does, we do drive people to that. So that becomes part of a bucket of money that we can use for some of our additional quality initiatives. So if we wanted to offset and pay a differential, or if we wanted to pay for scholarships or things of that nature, that's the bucket that we can pull from.
Got it.
So that is also very, so it's not necessarily, when we say fundraise, I guess for us, it's like, ooh, a little, we are limited in the ways that we can do some of those initiatives to receive those additional funds to support those quality initiatives. That was
Good
good,
job,
right?
you.
Wow.
Not even a stutter. That was perfect.
Yeah.
You might have said it once or twice.
But
That would have taken me years to get that.
I'm like, but all of that to say, yes, it's on air. Yes, we definitely
Can accept your money.
well, it's needed. I mean, we joke, right? And we talk about it, but realistically, the funds that we would have to provide those initiatives and those services are very, very limited because of the way that our money is structured. We have certain percentages that we have to stay within. And it's a lot of our funding, too, is based on the amount of enrollments. So there's a lot of moving pieces and parts that have to all align in order to be in the perfect world. And being in this industry, it's never a perfect world, right? But we make it as perfect as we can. We make it magically delicious.
Yes.
Magically happy. So we could talk about donations all day if you want to.
Well, I guess that kind of brings into the next part too, because obviously you guys have a lot of initiatives that you want to pursue. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to kind of bring up and give awareness to? Because obviously our conversation already has already talked about a number of them, but is there anything in particular that you guys want to go into depth about and see if there's someone out there watching that may want to get involved?
You want to do your infomercial? Your school readiness CPK infomercial
For
first?
school readiness?
Sure.
Oh.
You're so good at it.
So we are always looking for families to serve. We do have, like Dana was saying, we are very structured in our monies, right? So we have the money, but that money can't be used for anything else. So we need those families. We feel like there are lots of people who are probably currently in child care programs, maybe even those that we contract with, but they don't realize what they are they are potentially eligible for. So we are always trying to gather more enrollments for to really ease that burden on the families. So so that's why we're out here saying, hey, come check us out. You never know, apply. You might be eligible. We'll help you with all those pieces. You asked about some barriers. There is paperwork. There are eligibility requirements, but we can help you with that. And then for VPK, we want to make sure that as many children as possible are ready to move into kindergarten. And this is one thing that's really been amazing about our partnership with the school districts, Okaloosa and Walton County School Districts, is because we're all on the same page that children who are going into kindergarten, the more ready we can help them be, and that starts way back. That starts when they're born. Then those kids may be able to come to school more ready to learn, so the children, when they're going through, will do well all the way up through to help those children become more citizens and be able to be productive in society. It's all together. It's all together. So we're trying to get the VPK programs to make sure that we capture all those children that are eligible. And eligible for VPK is going to be being 4 years old, right? So there are families out there that are paying for their 4-year-old education. The 4-year-olds can go for free, and we have quality programs that we monitor to make sure that they're quality. So we want to make sure families are aware of it, and we would like to move them through. I know that last year in Okaloosa County alone, we had 900 children that did not attend VPK. So
and we're eligible.
Yes,
They could have.
and about 300-ish, I think, in Walton County. And so we're trying to eliminate that and get those numbers smaller. We want those children to utilize the services that they are able to take advantage of in Florida and be able to be more ready for kindergarten.
And I would add to that, for school readiness, the earlier we can get them into care, the earlier we can provide resources and services should the child need it. So early intervention services, whether they're an infant, toddler, 2-year-old, 3-year-old room, that is one of the things that we are definitely trying to help with, as well as for VPK. The recent data that was released is that those students who attended VPK scored higher on their 3rd grade reading assessment.
Okay.
So the more children we can get at minimum into VPK, hopefully those scores will continue to increase for both Okaloosa and Walton County. And I know that's one of the goals of our school district as well. Superintendent Chambers and Superintendent Hughes, again, met with them, and their teams are awesome. We've had some amazing partnerships with a lot of people within their teams. But I would regret and want to make sure that I include all of our community partners, because without all of our community partners, what we do, we wouldn't be able to do. And I do want to make sure that our providers are also recognized, because while we're talking a lot about school readiness and VPK, our goal is to ultimately also support our providers within our community. Being in this industry, we talked about the workforce, but actually owning and being a director or an assistant director or a curriculum specialist that's not necessarily in the classroom all the time is another piece that we really try to hold on to and coach and mentor and support as much as we can. So within our communities, if there's anyone that would like to talk to us about potentially a bucket of money for scholarships to go to Florida State College. If there's anything to help with maybe some stipends or bonuses, there's programs that we have looked into within other organizations that we can't fund, but if we had community partners that could fund it, would be great. One of them is with the Children's Forum. It's called the Incentives Program, and it's a program for retention of teachers, and where they get paid a bonus or a stipend, whatever term you would like to use. They get money if they stay within their facility for a certain length of period of time. But we don't utilize our funds. We don't have the funds for that. But if we had our community members that would come together to put that bucket together, we could potentially serve and help with some of our team members in the early childhood field.
Awesome. And I guess kind of coming up to my final question, at least.
Oh, man. It's fun now.
We're getting close to the end of the year. So you guys are moving into 2025. What are some of your goals for the year 2025 and then potentially even longer than that? So maybe like a 3-year goal at the most.
Well, our fiscal year is different. So our fiscal year actually just started July 1st. So ours goes July 1st to June 30th. And our focus is really working on strategies for the capacity challenges and opportunities that we have for all families in Okaloosa, Walton County. That includes our military families, our civilian families, our families in tourism, hospital, any industry, even those who are billionaires, but they still want their children in childcare. How do we support them and provide the access for them while still continuing to help our providers? Because we have providers who have spaces in some of their classrooms. So how do we ensure that we're getting the word out so that they can keep their classrooms full, specifically in our older age classrooms, where we're finding some of those challenges, and what I would call an opportunity would be our infant toddler classrooms. So we're working on creative ways and strategies to increase that. And the other piece of that would be our workforce. How do we get people into early childhood? How do we retain them, even if it's for a few years before they move on to another pathway, or stay within the pathway just in a different position? I would say those would be our two top tier things right now. There's other little pieces that kind of go into that, like with anything. There's a lot of little pieces that go into it, but overarching, I would say those would be our two biggest opportunities and things that we're working on as an organization along with our board.
Okay, awesome. And then is there anything else before we wrap up that you guys want to add before we head out today?
That's a loaded question.
I know, right? I don't think so. VPK enrollment applications will open in January, so you can apply there if your child's going to be 4 by September 1st, 2025, and apply for school readiness. It doesn't hurt to try.
Right. And also a big thank you to all of our partners and our providers. Our providers are the ones that are out there. They are in the trenches doing the work with these children, and they're doing an amazing job. And we're here to support them. And we just thank all of you so much for what you do every day.
Wow. I was like, wow. And I would want to end this on a note with saying that not only are we so grateful for our providers, our community partners, and I know we've talked about it multiple times, but I would like to say that how grateful I am for the Early Learning Coalition team and our board, because without
She was going to try to fit us all in here, guys.
I was like, how do we do it? Because I really feel like, yes, I'm the CEO of the organization, but I'm just one small piece, and I'm just here to make sure that all the pieces work together. But it ultimately is all the people who are in that office working with the clients every day, working with the providers every day, working with our community members every day that really make it happen. I would say two things before we sign off. Please don't call us daycares anymore.
Yes.
We are child cares. If we
Childcare.
do anything, change that. And really thank our providers. If you see, or if you have children at a child care facility or a family child care home or at the CDC or at a church preschool, just take a minute and thank them, because this is a hard field to be in. And they do it every day, day in and day out, and just show them a little gratitude and just let them know how much you appreciate them, because we need them just as much as we need all of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming in today. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning into The Fiber. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. If you want to learn more about Live Oak Fiber, visit us at liveoakfiber.com.